AEW WrestleDream 2024 match card and predictions for you now here on the channel. At the time of recording, there are 7 matches that are going to be taking place for sure. An 8th one is going to be set up on AEW Title Tuesday, and I'm going to speculate one more extra match as well for the show. Of course, the main talking point will be Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley, who is walking away as AEW World Champion. You've got to stick around to the end of the video to find out. So let's kick things off then with a 0-hour Atlantis Jr. defending the ROH TV title against Brian Cage. I've got Brian Cage walking away as the brand new champion. Of course, he is a part of the AEW ROH roster full-time. Also, a fantastic in-ring wrestler, deserves singles gold in my opinion. So I'm predicting we're going to get a brand new champion. Moving on to the main show, let's start off with the ROH World Championship that will be on the line. Mark Briscoe against Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho went there saying that Mark cannot beat him. He's ready for another world title, but maybe his brother Jay could have. Look, it's a touchy subject. For me, it's a bit distasteful, but Mark Briscoe probably gave this the go-ahead before doing the angle. I think Mark Briscoe is going to walk away the victor in this match. It propels him further as Ring of Honor World Champion, beating a former Ring of Honor World Champion in Chris Jericho. Next, we're going to go for Darby Allin's open challenge that was answered by Brody King. Now, don't get me wrong, these two are going to have a fantastic match, but at the same time, how disappointing was it that Brody King answered the challenge that was put out by Darby? This was perfect for a Bobby Lashley debut to come in and annihilate Darby Allin on pay-per-view. Would have been something I'd have been so much looking forward to. Instead, look, it's a great match between two guys that we know have got good chemistry in the ring. But what does it do? What does it do for anybody at this point? I suppose for Brody, if he wins, puts him in a higher position in AEW, but I don't see that happening. I think Darby Allin is going to pick up some momentum, is going to pick up a win, and hopefully for his sakes, is going to start the climb back to the world title scene. Moving on then to the TNT Championship, Jack Perry will be defending against Katsuyori Shibata. For me, this one simply a challenge made backstage. How lazy is this booking sometimes? I'm sorry, I am an AEW fan, but still, I feel that this is very lazy and thrown together. And to be honest, it's a match I'm not overly excited to see either. I think Jack Perry is going to retain. I think this is just, quickly skip over this show and we can worry about what Jack Perry will be doing come full gear. Same could be said for the tag team titles as well. The Young Bucks going against Private Party. Yes, Private Party did once beat the Young Bucks in the tag team title tournament 5 years ago. It happened 5 years ago. We've done this storyline 2 or 3 times since in AEW, and the Young Bucks have won every single time. I don't see things being any different here. I think the Young Bucks will retain those tag team championships. The only thing mildly interesting in this entire story is the fact that Stokely Hathaway is backstage and he is watching Private Party, potential future clients of his. Now he's broken away from Chris Statlander, which will be my speculation part of the video. It looks like we could be getting Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Mone for the TBS Championship. That'll be a fun match if it does happen. Of course, they did have an altercation this past week on Collision. However, Mercedes Mone will retain that championship. Mariah will be defending the AEW Women's World Championship either against Britt Baker or Willow Nightingale. That will be decided on Title Tuesday, which at the time of recording, that match hasn't happened yet. So I will predict that Willow Nightingale will get herself into the title picture. However, again, Mariah May, it's too early into a title run. I think she will be retaining the gold here. I think Mariah May keeps this championship until we get the return of Timeless Toni Storm. Next, let's talk about the three-way for the AEW International Championship. We've got Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Konosuke Takeshita. To be honest with this one, why is Takeshita involved? I really enjoyed the dynamite match between Ospreay and Ricochet. I think if they were given a pay-per-view platform, I think they could take it to an extra gear and an extra level. Yes, Takeshita getting involved in the match does make this a bit more personal and reasoning for him being there. However, I thought we were building to Takeshita versus Okada, which seemingly obviously is not going to happen on this show. Still, we've got the freeway, and for me, it feels like Takeshita can take the fall here, and we can carry over Ospreay versus Ricochet to another day. The question is, though, does Ospreay retain, or does Ricochet get the title without beating Ospreay? I'm going to go for the wild card here. I say that Ricochet becomes your brand new international champion, and it could be a little twist in the tail that maybe it's actually 2 against 1 here against Will Ospreay, and that Ricochet could be a future client of the Don Callis family. Let's finish things up then with the AEW World Championship. Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. This is the match I am most looking forward to. Despite not overly enjoying the build with the plastic bag at All Out, I like the fact that the BCC have broken apart the two people that wanted to take over All Elite Wrestling together and now going head to head. Of course, Bryan Danielson wanted to do things in a diplomatic way of building their takeover from the company. Jon Moxley said, well, that's not worked for him. He chooses war. And he has said this is not AEW's company anymore. It's going to be his company. And pretty much he has alluded that someone has been in his ear. He's got Marina Shafir by his side as well now. And if this message is going to be taken seriously, and I think it's going to be a Shane McMahon introduction to AEW trying to take over the company, which I think can be actually quite a fun storyline, even actually if it does sound not necessarily the most fun thing to hear out loud. However, I think for that message to make perfect sense, Moxley needs to win the championship here. Bryan Danielson needs to be collateral damage. He does need surgery as well, Bryan Danielson, before the end of the year. So, I mean, we know that it's a ticking time on his title reign either way, and I think Moxley is the right person to take the title from Bryan Danielson. One last little bit of speculation before I leave, because I thought about one potential extra match that I expect to be added to this show. Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White looked like it was being set up on Dynamite this past week. If it does happen on the show, fantastic. It's a great spot for Jay White to come back into. I think these two could have one of the best matches on the show, actually, if it was to take place. I would go, though, for Hangman Adam Page to pick up the win because, well, it would make the most logical sense, and potentially we could get a Swerve return. We'll have to wait and see. One note I think that will be debuting on this show is Bobby Lashley. Where he debuts at this show will be interesting. Obviously, he will be aligned with MVP and Shelton Benjamin, and they will continue their form of the Hurt Business in AEW, which should be a lot of fun to see. But let me know your predictions for AEW WrestleDream in the comments below. I know I've been a bit salty on this predictions video just because of the fact that I do feel that this card overall for me is a bit lackluster. I'm only really looking forward to two matches on this show, if I'm being brutally honest, of the ones we have confirmed, which of course is the world title match, and of course as well the freeway for the international championship. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below anyway, and make sure to check out more videos on the channel right now. Make sure to like, share and subscribe. I'll see you for the next one here on YouTube. Take care.